Hello, I'm Jo Kiminade and I'm talking to John Knorr, founder and CEO of the Uglii Corporation.
Today we're speaking about telcos as national partners of the Uglii Coalition. John, you're particularly excited about the prospect of telcos as a national partner.
Yeah, Joe, the excitement comes from two issues. One is that businesses have a relationship with a telco, and collectively, of course, all telcos have a relationship with every business in an economy. And of course, they also have relationships with consumers and households as well. So that part of the excitement is because of their ability to be very effective as national partners for our systems, and consequently they can make a lot of money out of our systems by coming on board with us and partnering with Uglii.
Sure, that makes sense. There would be few people or businesses untouched by
in the whole
telco.
world. Everybody is touched by a telco, even if they've only got a mobile phone system.
Sure.
The other bit of the excitement, however, comes from the fact that a telco can gather itself some huge advantage by pushing our systems out to businesses in particular, and in particular businesses that they don't already have a business relationship with. So our systems can be very aggressive acquirers of business for a telco that's aggressive. So this appeal for our system really extends to aggressive telcos, those that want to penetrate markets and capture relationships, particularly with businesses. It's a very powerful thing for them.
And how does it give them the opportunity to obtain business where they didn't have a business relationship?
Joe, one of the things that our system does is it allows marketing through what we call a control panel to a business that's signed up in our system. Now, the significance of that is that marketing is restricted to the national partner in this case, so that if a business comes in through a telco, then it's going to be able to be marketed to by that telco. Now, if that's an existing business relationship between the telco and the business, that's fine, because it's just reinforcing the relationship.
Sure, which is a good thing in itself.
Yeah, it's a good thing in itself. On the other hand, if the telco has been smart enough to market to businesses that are not its clients at the moment, then it gives that telco an opportunity to provide marketing material about its own services to that businesses through our system. So it's a sort of Trojan horse approach, I suppose, to marketing, that if they can get them registered through our system as an Uglii client, then they've got the potential to secure them as a telco client as well through those processes. So that's a very powerful benefit to telcos. It's also a threat to the ones that don't come into our system, of course.
So obviously the telco that came in as a national partner is going to have the most benefits of the system.
Yeah, and particularly if it's got a distributed marketing system. So if it's got the ability to have its people talk to businesses generally, not just its own clients, but if it's out there marketing, it's often easier to market the registration of a business into our system, which is free, than to convince a business to change telcos for its telephony services. So this process is, as I said before, sort of a Trojan horse way of getting business clients to come over to them as a
Sure. Apart from that obvious benefit, is there other benefits, commission benefits?
Huge commission benefits. Our systems offer businesses some free services to get them in the door, to get them to sign up, free discovery. They're very powerful services, and they shouldn't be underestimated, the power of those services. A business that comes into Uglii gets free discoverability, no matter how big or small it may be. It can have multiple places of business, so if it's got multiple branches, then it's going to get full discoverability for each of those branches. There's other benefits that I won't go into explain the details of, but they're powerful benefits for businesses. Every business on the planet will get those benefits.
And they're free?
And they're free.
Sure.
Now, the system also offers that business the opportunity of buying other services if it wants to buy those services. And we have processes built into the system that very gently markets to those businesses the types of services that might be of some benefit to that business.
So it'll be services that are appropriate for that particular business.
Absolutely, and that's very important. Our systems have got 46 services that could be marketed to a business, and most of those are inappropriate for most businesses. But there's probably 6 or 7 services that are universally of benefit for every business across the whole economy, or across the globe actually. So they are a source of revenue for both us and for the coalition partners, in this case a telco. Now our systems are pretty smart, and they know whether a business is ready to buy the services we think it needs.
Sure.
So we can tell a business, look, you're getting enough exposure now that you probably should have a link to your website, or if you haven't got a website.
When you say telling the business, this is done through the system, it's an automated
Yeah, it's an automated process. We have a control panel, as I mentioned before, and in that control panel, a business can control its discoverability in our system, and use all those free services that we give it. But it's also there that it can see the other services that it can buy if it wants to buy those services. Now, the benefit of those services are that they are very powerful, but they're also affordable. So we've structured things so that every business on the planet really has got the ability to buy our services and derive benefit from those services. So from a telco's point of view, it'll make substantial money from its commission, its share of the revenues from the purchase of those services.
And that's enduring every year if they buy that service, the link to the website.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of those services, 6 or 7 of those services, and most businesses will come in and buy those services. We're very confident about that. There'll be a high percentage of businesses that buy at least some services, and even a fairly high percentage that will buy all services because they're affordable. This is a new paradigm for business, but it's also a huge opportunity for telcos to get part of that action as well. So the processes for a telco to market, to engage businesses through our system, is that they can do that through their website, sending something out with their bill, whatever the process they have of contacting businesses and consumers, then they can market through those processes. If they've got a network of shops, like phone shops or resellers that have a physical presence, then our system can be set up to focus on those local areas. That's very powerful. Let me describe what happens there. So if a telco's got a network of shops or resellers, it can appoint as what we call affiliates. Our system can be used to create a website for each of those affiliates, and the mapping systems our service provides can be focused very locally on those shops effectively.
So businesses or consumers that then register through that particular local branch, the commission would go to that branch.
Some of the commission will go to that branch, and the balance of the commission goes to the telco. So even if a telco's using third-party resellers, that arrangement works very elegantly for the telco. Let me just come back to the point of our mapping systems focusing on those local resellers. The importance of that is that businesses get very excited when they see the maps for their local area, and they can see the street or the road on which their business should be in the system. Okay, so it's very easy for businesses to grasp the concepts of our systems, and they will generally register very quickly without much encouragement at all. Now, as we know, the holy grail of search is local search, and our systems are really very, very powerful with local search. So businesses, and that includes most businesses, that get their revenues from local transactions, understand the concepts and relevance of these systems to them. The importance of that, of course, is that it's very easy for business to register, and it's very easy for a telco to get the business to register through them. And if it's done that, then it's got an enduring commission relationship that really endures as long as the business is in business. Now, the reason I say that is we've learnt a lot from the telco industry, and part of the problem that the telco industry is is that it has major problems of churn where businesses and persons will go to another telco to get a better deal. And
Right.
so it tends to be a bit of a race to the bottom for telcos. Now, we've been very careful to avoid any arrangement that facilitates churn. So once a business comes into the system, it's fairly sticky. The business is likely to stay there for a
even
long
if
time.
they swapped telcos, they would still remain registered under the telco.
Yeah, and the
that goes-
telco's still going to have that revenue coming
Sure.
in to it from that business.
And telcos are notoriously quite aggressive in their marketing anyway, really, so this would be ideal
well,
for them.
they have to be. Yeah, they have to be because of this problem of churn. They're constantly in this
competition's very
competition to bring the clients that they've lost back in, or to secure clients from the other party. So
Sure.
our system gives them an opportunity to use our system to secure businesses and even consumers into their system. But it also, as you say, gives them a solid revenue stream. It's not going to churn. It's there. Once they've registered through the telco, it's there for good. And revenue stream is there for
How
good.
can they monitor that revenue, John?
Our Uglii billing system is totally transparent. They can go in and see the revenue entitlements from each of the businesses that have registered under them.
Right.
So and see that in aggregate, so they can see the whole big picture.
Sure.
And the billing cycle is fortnightly, so they're getting a payment from us every fortnight for the transactions that have happened in the previous fortnight. So, and it's very transparent. They can log on and see that 24 hours a day. It's very transparent.
So basically, a telco as a national partner gets a percentage of this commission,
Yep.
and then its branch can get a percentage.
Yep.
I would imagine you only want one telco per economy.
Not necessarily, because if we're talking about some smaller telcos or aggressive telcos, then they may be new telcos that are trying to break into an economy. So we're not necessarily looking at the biggest players. We're looking at the aggressive players because they're going to get the most benefit from it.
Sure.
And we're going to get good benefits from them too. So, yeah, look, it's not about big. Big's not always the best. They can be quite arrogant and quite complacent about where they sit.
Right.
I think we'd rather deal with aggressive telcos that are excited about the challenges ahead of them and can grasp an idea and get into it and not.
Sure.
not
Well,
be-
there's obviously not an infinite number of businesses out there, so whoever gets to sign up these businesses first, they only register once.
Yep.
That's where the commission's going to go.
That's right. It's a land grab, Joe, and we talk about it as a land grab.
Sure.
And it is exactly that. It's important that a telco that wants to own a bit of this system and own a bit of this revenue stream is aggressive about it and pushes it out through every avenue they can, whether it's their website or whether it's their billing processes or through their network of resellers or local shops or whatever they do. Then they need to push it as hard as they can and as quickly as they can. I think that this process is going to go very quickly in most economies, that businesses are going to get signed up very quickly because there's very good business reasons why businesses want to get signed up. We know from years of testing our processes and our technology and the services that businesses generally catch on to this stuff very quickly. So
Sure.
once they get a whiff of it, they're
Well,
likely to
particularly
go
with
on board.
registration being free, there's no reason not to sign up. I'm assuming that it's chronological, so businesses that sign up first, if they're a brand owning business, end up first on the list.
Joe, yeah, you're talking about some of the services there. From a general registration point of view, they can come in and they can put their business using what we call an Uglii. They can put their business onto the mapping system and they can be discovered by the keywords or other codes that we provide for them, so they're easily discoverable. If they're brand owning businesses, and you raise a very important point, if they're brand owning businesses, then those sort of businesses tend to spend more money in our system and they can get some really significant benefits by being aggressive and proactive in our system that are going to hold them in good stead for a long time. So, Yeah, you're absolutely right. If they're brand owning businesses, now telcos obviously have relationships with brand owning business because they have relationships with all
Everybody,
businesses.
yes.
Yeah. So when a business comes on board, it generally knows how to channel its interests around our system and use the most appropriate services that work for it. So yeah, it's fairly easy. The other thing, of course, is that the role of a telco in our systems is to introduce businesses. It's never to sell anything. We don't require that they sell services to anybody because the system knows what services are appropriate for each business. When a business registers, we gather a fair bit of information about that business. So we can also tell from its activity and its exposure in the system of what the next services might be that it needs to buy or consider buying.
So the system sells the services rather than the telco having to sell
That's
the
right.
services.
The system sells the services. The telco is really being paid its enduring commissions for the fact that it brought the business into the system in the first place. So it's a very easy effort for the telco. Just bring the business in and we'll look after it.
What sort of percentage are we talking about in commissions?
Joe, we can be talking for a national partner, global partners offer about 40% of the net revenue of the system to telcos. That's a rough rule of thumb.
Right.
And the billing system's got the facility that the telco can split that revenue down for its affiliates. So if it's appointing its resellers out in the economy as affiliates, it can set a price with them. Our system requires that the split is at least 20% goes to the affiliates.
Right.
The affiliates are the guys that need to be energised to bring businesses into the system for the benefit of the telco and obviously,
themselves.
yeah, and themselves and for us. So we need them to feel that they're making a lot of money out of this process and they can see their way forward to get off their tails and do something. So it's a very powerful business model. And they're not really being required to do any sales. So they're really just conveying to that business that here is a benefit for your business. We're about helping your business grow, and hopefully you're going to use more of our telco services when your business gets bigger. Therefore, we've got a vested interest in the future of your business. Those sort of messages are fairly easy to get across.
Uglii systems have huge benefits for developing economies. How do telcos fit into that picture?
Joe, telcos have penetrated just about every economy on the planet. Just about every person in those economies that wants a mobile phone's got one.
Sure.
Through some really quite amazing and exciting processes. The prospects for telcos being the agents or the global partners with us in those economies is a pretty exciting message for them as well, because by bringing in businesses, they're of course helping the discoverability of those businesses, and that's really important that those businesses get discovered and that they can trade either locally or with their neighbouring countries or right around the world. They can do that very easily with our systems. So we're seeing telcos as being an even greater agent of change in those economies, and if they are introducing businesses to our systems, then they're obviously benefiting those economies, but they also have the prospects of earning commissions on those processes. So their investment in all of that infrastructure that they're putting into those economies has got some prospect of an even greater return through commissions from our systems. Our systems, as I mentioned before, we've got about 46 services. Some of those services are services that can be fairly aggressively used in developing economies where a business got a competitive advantage in costs or any other benefit that it may have. It can use our systems very, very affordably in its neighbourhood, nationally, globally, through our systems. Very powerful indeed. So the opportunity for businesses in those areas is to use our systems. The opportunity for the telcos is to get some commission on the small fees that our systems charge for those services.
Sure.
There's a third benefit too, that we're constantly looking for processes by which we can get paid. Now that may sound selfish,
You're a
self-interested, but we are a business, we're not a charity. So we're looking for processes that allow us to get paid, and there's lots of innovation in those processes through telcos around the world. Not happening so much in the developed economies because those payment processes are fairly entrenched in those economies, but excitingly in developing economies, that's some real exciting stuff happening. Now, we're very anxious that we can plug into those processes so that if somebody wants to pay us for a service, and it might be a little service, then we can get paid and we can activate and provide that service to that business. Very important.
Okay, so assuming we've got telcos in various economies all over the world who have become national partners, down the track, is this saleable? Is it an asset that be part saleable or fully saleable? Or
Yeah, Joe, it is. Our systems allow what we call revenue streams to be transferred. Now, that's important. It's important because we'll have affiliates that want to sell their business in whole or in part. There's processes already in the system that allow those transactions to happen. So if an affiliate decides it wants to sell its revenue stream to the telco, for example, it can do that, or it could sell it to a third party. So the importance of that, of course, is that our revenue streams are projected to grow quite steadily as businesses become more comfortable with what we're doing and that we're not ripping them off, that they're getting good benefits and that they're saving money from our systems. Then those revenues are going to climb fairly steadily. So those revenue streams represent a good investment for somebody. So a telco can sell its revenue streams off if it wants to, though we certainly wouldn't encourage it.
No.
But it can also buy revenue streams from other organisations that
so if I was an affiliate and decided I wanted to retire, I can sell my affiliate ship
that's right,
off to anyone who's interested.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And they must be part of the system, so there must be a business in the system. Just that's for housekeeping processes, so it's fairly easy for us to transfer those revenues around the system. But they can be universal, so that an investor in the United States may want to buy those revenue streams of an affiliate in South Africa or Australia or whatever it may be.
Right.
So that doesn't matter where they are, they can be redirected. Our systems are smart enough to do that automatically, and we don't have to be involved. So those revenue streams can be identified by the vendor, in other words, the affiliate that owns that revenue stream, and it can be transferred as a matter of course.
Thanks very much, John.
Thanks, Joe.